Most people never reveal their jealousy directly. They hide it behind curiosity, behind casual conversations, behind innocent questions, behind fake concern. And strangely, the more someone envies you, the more they try to make you explain yourself. Have you ever noticed that some people keep asking questions that leave you feeling strangely uncomfortable afterward? Questions that seem normal on the surface, but somehow feel intrusive, calculated, almost investigative. The strange thing about people is, jealousy rarely appears as open hatred at first. It appears as attention. Attention to your money, your relationships, your progress, your confidence, your happiness. And the more your life changes, the more certain people begin asking questions they never asked before.
I am the watcher, and here, in Shadow Insight, we observe the hidden mechanisms behind human behavior. Because there are specific questions jealous people almost always ask, not because they care, but because they are searching for something, a weakness, a flaw, a confirmation that your life is not as good as it seems. Watch carefully, because by the end of this video, you will understand why jealousy often disguises itself as conversation, and why the people asking the most questions are sometimes the ones secretly hoping you fail. If you've ever experienced this kind of hidden tension around certain people, subscribe to Shadow Insight and tell me in the comments, have you ever felt that someone was studying your life more than supporting it? At first, the questions seem harmless, almost friendly. That is what makes them difficult to detect. Jealous people rarely begin with aggression. They begin with curiosity. But with time, you begin to notice something strange. Their questions are never truly random. They always orbit around the same subjects: your success, your relationships, your opportunities, your confidence, your future. Have you ever noticed how some people suddenly become extremely interested in your life the moment things start going well for you? Before your promotion, they barely asked anything. Before your relationship improved, they barely paid attention. Before you started changing, they barely looked at you. And then suddenly, how much are they paying you? So, are you really happy with them? How did you manage to get that opportunity? Do you actually think this will last? You've changed lately. What happened? On the surface, these questions sound normal, but hidden underneath them is something else: comparison. Because jealousy is obsessed with measuring. Jealous people constantly compare their lives to yours, even when they pretend not to care. That is why their questions often feel strangely precise. They are not listening like someone inspired by your success. They are listening like someone searching for imbalance, searching for cracks, searching for proof that your happiness is temporary. And the strange thing is, many jealous people do not even fully realize what they are doing. Human nature always reveals itself eventually, especially when someone feels left behind. Sometimes the questions become even more subtle. Instead of directly criticizing you, they ask things designed to create doubt inside your mind. Are you sure that's a good idea? Don't you think you're moving too fast? What if this goes wrong? Watch carefully, because jealousy often hides itself behind caution, behind concern, behind realism. And if you pay attention, you will notice that these people rarely ask questions that strengthen your confidence. Their questions almost always pull your energy downward, little by little, conversation after conversation. Because deep down, jealous people struggle to watch someone else grow without emotionally reacting to it, especially when your growth reminds them of what they never became. Why do jealous people ask so many questions in the first place? Because jealousy is not only emotion, it is insecurity mixed with comparison. And comparison creates obsession. Have you ever wondered why certain people seem unusually focused on your decisions, even when those decisions have nothing to do with them? Jung believed that people often react strongly to qualities they secretly reject or desire within themselves. And this is where jealousy becomes psychologically fascinating. The jealous person is not only looking at your life, they are unconsciously confronting their own frustrations. Your confidence reminds them of their hesitation. Your discipline reminds them of their inconsistency. Your opportunities remind them of the risks they never took. That is why their questions often carry hidden emotional tension. They are trying to understand how you obtain something they internally feel distant from. But instead of admitting admiration, human ego often transforms admiration into silent resentment. Because admiration is vulnerable, jealousy feels safer. The strange thing about people is, many would rather minimize your success than question their own limitations. So they investigate, they ask questions, they analyze your choices. Not because they truly want to learn from you, but because they are emotionally trying to restore balance inside themselves. Adler once suggested that feelings of inferiority quietly shape many human behaviors. And when someone feels inferior around you, their mind automatically starts searching for ways to reduce the emotional gap. Sometimes this happens through criticism, sometimes through gossip, but often it begins with questions. Questions designed to humanize your success. Questions designed to expose flaws. Questions designed to make your life appear less impressive than it seems. That is why jealous people become deeply interested in your failures. Notice how quickly they ask questions when something goes wrong. What happened? Are you okay financially? So they left you? Did the project fail? Suddenly, their curiosity becomes intense, because failure temporarily relieves comparison. It reassures them. For a brief moment, your life feels less threatening to their ego. Watch carefully. People reveal their true emotional position toward you most clearly during two moments: when you fail and when you succeed. Most people expect support during difficult times, but success is what truly exposes hidden jealousy. Because many people can tolerate your pain, few can comfortably tolerate your growth. The uncomfortable truth is, jealousy is not always passive. Sometimes it quietly becomes a form of psychological control. Because once someone starts comparing themselves to you emotionally, they also begin reacting to your growth. Have you ever noticed how certain people become colder, more sarcastic, or strangely dismissive after you improve your life? At first, the change feels subtle. They still smile, they still talk normally. But something underneath the interaction shifts. Their questions become heavier, less curious, more probing. So now you think you're better than everyone? You're making good money now, huh? You really believe these people care about you? Let's see how long this lasts. Watch carefully. These questions are not neutral anymore. They are emotional tests. Because jealousy often wants to pull people back toward emotional equality. Human nature always reveals itself eventually, especially when status changes inside relationships. The moment you become more confident, more respected, more disciplined, or more successful than before, some people unconsciously feel abandoned by the old version of you. And instead of evolving with you, they try to psychologically reconnect you to your former limitations. This is why jealous people often remind you of your past mistakes, your old failures, your old insecurities, your old identity. Not accidentally, but because your transformation destabilizes the image they had of you. Nietzsche once observed that resentment grows strongest in people who feel powerless to become what they admire. And resentment rarely announces itself openly. It leaks out indirectly, through jokes, through passive aggression, through concern, through repeated questioning. Sometimes the goal is subtle discouragement. Sometimes it is emotional destabilization. And sometimes they simply want access to information they can later use against you. That is why jealous people often ask deeply personal questions very early about money, relationships, family problems, plans, weaknesses, fears. Not all curiosity is malicious, but excessive curiosity without genuine support often hides comparison underneath it. The strange thing about people is some individuals do not want to destroy you completely. They simply want to feel emotionally superior to you again. So they ask questions hoping to discover that your relationship is unstable, that your confidence is fake, that your success is temporary, that your peace is an illusion. Because if your life is imperfect, their own frustrations become easier to tolerate. And this is why jealousy can become dangerous over time. Not because jealous people always attack directly, but because prolonged envy slowly transforms conversations into silent competitions. The most dangerous thing about jealousy is that it rarely feels dangerous in the beginning. In fact, many jealous people remain close to you for years, smiling, listening, asking questions, watching silently. And because they do not openly attack you, you continue trusting them. That is what makes hidden jealousy psychologically powerful. Have you ever wondered why certain conversations leave you emotionally drained, even when nothing openly negative was said? Because energy changes when comparison enters a relationship. You begin explaining yourself too much, defending your choices, justifying your happiness, downplaying your success to make others comfortable. Little by little, you start shrinking parts of yourself around certain people. Not because they asked directly, but because their reactions taught you that your growth disturbs them. Watch carefully. This is how many people unconsciously sabotage themselves, not through enemies, but through prolonged exposure to hidden resentment. The strange thing about people is, humans naturally seek emotional harmony inside groups. So when someone repeatedly reacts negatively to your progress, your mind slowly adapts. You become more careful about what you share, more cautious about your victories, more silent about your ambitions, and eventually you stop expanding naturally. Not because you lost potential, but because you started managing other people's discomfort. This is why emotionally intelligent people become extremely selective about who receives access to their personal life. Not everyone deserves details. Not everyone deserves transparency. And not everyone asking questions deserves answers. Because questions reveal intentions. Some questions seek connection. Others seek information. Others seek reassurance that you are not doing better than them. Human nature always reveals itself eventually, especially when life changes your position. Pay attention to the people who become uncomfortable when you improve. Pay attention to the people who ask more questions than they offer support. Pay attention to the people who celebrate your failures more emotionally than your victories. Because jealousy rarely appears as direct hatred. It appears as subtle emotional friction. And many people only recognize it after years of confusion, self-doubt, and emotional exhaustion. The hardest part?
Sometimes, the jealous person is someone you genuinely care about.
So, why do jealous people always ask these questions? Because jealousy is rarely satisfied with appearances. It wants reassurance. Reassurance that your life is not truly as peaceful, successful, confident, or fulfilling as it seems. That is the hidden mechanism most people never realize. Jealous people ask questions not only to understand you, but to emotionally measure themselves against you. And the more insecure someone feels internally, the more intensely they observe the lives of others. Watch carefully. The real danger is not the questions themselves. It is what repeated exposure to hidden jealousy slowly does to your mind. It makes you explain yourself too much, hide your progress, question your happiness, reduce your ambitions to protect other people's comfort. But human nature always reveals itself eventually. The people who genuinely support you will feel inspired by your growth. The people secretly competing with you will feel disturbed by it. And once you begin recognizing the difference, you start protecting your energy differently. You become more selective, more observant, more silent about certain things. Not out of arrogance, but out of awareness. I am the watcher. And here, in Shadow Insight, we do not simply observe what people say. We observe what their behavior quietly reveals underneath. If this video made you recognize someone in your life, leave a comment below and tell me, what is the strangest question someone ever asked you right after something good happened in your life? Subscribe to Shadow Insight for more explorations into the hidden psychology of human behavior. Because sometimes, the people asking the most questions are not trying to understand your life. They are trying to understand why it is not theirs.